Hello, my name is Darren Thomas, and I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this video, we're going to learn a little bit about local arrays, and we're going to learn how to do this in two different ways. We're going to learn how to hard code creating a local array inside VBA, and then we're also going to learn how to allow the user to input data to create an array as well. Those are the two things we're going to cover in this particular video. So let's go ahead and see what we can learn. So we're not going to start in the VBA developer. Instead, we're going to start by showing you what we are going to create in our first example. So what we have here is the array that we're going to hard code using some coding ideas in VBA. And so this one across the top is referring, of course, to the column 1, column 2, and then we have row 1, row 2. So the numbers right here inside this cell that I have highlighted, this is row 1, column 1. And so we're going to input a number 1 in that particular space. This is, of course, row 1, column 2, and we're going to put a 2 there. All the way down to row 2, column 1, we'll put a 3, and of course, row 2, column 2, we will put a 4. This is a visual of what we're going to be making. And in case you have not seen prior videos, an array is basically, for our purposes, when you have multiple rows and multiple columns that are kind of together as one integrated object of data, if you will. Now, we're going to move over to Excel, or excuse me, not Excel, but VBA. And remember, this, what you're seeing right here, is what we're going to create. Now, these numbers in green, I forgot to mention, these are not a part of our data. I put those there to give you an idea of what row 1, column 1 is, what row 1, column 2 is, etc. We're only going to make this part right here. The green stuff will not really be in our code. So let's go ahead and move over now to VBA. So one thing that we have to do is we have to put something called options base 1. If we do not put this, what happens is that like an extra row and column is added to the array. This is not necessarily bad, but if you don't keep it in mind, it could cause problems as you try to do other things with your code. So we're just going to put that there. Now we're going to make our array. It's going to be a subroutine. We're going to call it new array, like so. All right. Next, we're going to dim our array. So we're going to call it my array. This is where we declare it. And we're going to make it a 2 by 2. So that means 2 rows, 2 columns. And it's going to take integer values. Next, we have to put in our actual data for each row and column. So we do my array, and we're going to put space for 1-1. So this is going to be the first row, the first column. That's what we're doing here. And we're going to put a 1 there. Now to save time, I'm going to copy this and paste it 4 times. So that's the second time, third time, fourth time. And I need to make some adjustments, obviously, to the code here. So this second time, we're just going to change the column here. Then for this third time, we're going to change the row. And last time, we're going to change the row and the column. And of course, we have to change the numbers. So 2, 3, and 4, like so. So then the last thing we're going to do, because you're not going to be able to see this inside the worksheet, because in this video, we're not learning how to import into the worksheet or how to export from the worksheet. That'll be covered later on. So just so you know that it's working, we're just going to put one more piece of code here called message box. And we want the message box to include from my array. We want it to print the first row and the first column, like so. That's how we'll know if it works or not. So if we go through this, start at the top, press F8. Okay, you can see down here in our locals window that it has declared my array right here. Nothing is cited yet. You can see everything is going great. We got the 2 columns here, 1-1, 1-2, then 2-1, 2-2, like so. We're going to continue our experience here. All right. And so now it's putting in the numbers. You can look, if you look at the locals window, you can clearly see how the values are starting to change. I know it's very small there. Now we're going to output our message box. And you can see right there, really, really small, it gives us the 1. So this is our evidence that the array is in VBA and it has outputted row 1, column 1, as you can see right here in the message box. Now, we're going to take this one step further. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to create a subroutine that allows a user to input the data themselves. This time we hard-coded it. And as you make subroutines inside VBA, you're probably not going to have users hard-coding things into the developer like this. You're going to have them input it through a text box. So let's go ahead and go over here. Now we're going to put our option base 1. This prevents it from having starting at 0. And like I told you before, when you don't put the option base 1, it'll add like an extra my array down here. It'll be my array 0. That's kind of what it does. Excuse me. Whoops. Here we go. Okay, just click OK. There we go. Had to reset it. Okay, so we're going to do sub. I'm going to call it make array. Okay, next we're going to dim my array. It's going to be a 2x2 again, like so, and it's going to be as integer. Next, we're going to dim I because we're going to be using nested for loops, which is something we discussed in a prior video. So like so. So dim I and j. I is going to be for the columns. J is going to be, I is going to be for the rows. J is going to be for the columns. And if you've seen prior videos, you're familiar with the nested for loop here. So for I equals 1 to 2, we're going to do the following. For j equals 1 to 2, we're going to do my array, and it's going to be here I comma j, that's for the position, and equal input box. So this is where the user is going to put the data in themselves. Input box, and then we're going to say enter number for element, put a space there, ampersand, whoops, element, ampersand. Then we're going to put I first, another ampersand. And then we want to put J, like so. And then we need to put a comma. Oh, I forgot to put the ampersand here. There we go. And then next, we're going to put next J, because we'll be next I, excuse me. No, next J, that's what I meant. And then we're going to go ahead and next I. And then this should be all set and done. Now, we're going to go ahead and see if we can get this to work. Now, the output is going to be down here in the locals window this time. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with this. F8. So we make our variable, we jump to our for loop here. Okay, now it's going to ask for a number. I'll put a 1, say okay. Then it'll repeat the process. Ask for another number, I'll put 2, then 3, then 4, and then it looks like we're pretty much done. So then it exits. That's what happens. And so that is how this particular for loop works. And that's how this particular subroutine works. Again, you know, you'll have to look at it on your own if you really want to see how it works. Let's see here. So we'll do it one more time. 2. Okay. Here we go. Almost done. Okay. All right, so now you can see all of our information is right here inside the arrays. You can see the 1, 2, the 3, and the 4. So our data is inside the array like we want it. And that's pretty much how this works. So again, in isolation like this, this knowledge that we are acquiring about arrays is not very useful for practical purposes yet. However, as we continue our journey, you will see many opportunities in which you can use your ability to create arrays either through hard coding or through allowing the user to input the data for many useful and practical purposes. So let me try to summarize what we did and we will conclude this video. In this video, we talked and had a demonstration of the use of local arrays, which is basically where you can either hard code your data into it, like I had shown you in this first example right here, where you can hard code your data into an array, and an array is, multiple rows and columns of data inside Excel, or where you can have the user input the data themselves, as you can see right here. Whether you use it, which way you use is really up to you and your personal goals. But again, this is a tool that you can use, and we can show you how it's done right here, using nested for loops for when the user inputs, or just hard coding it yourself for whatever your purposes are inside the developer. So my name is Darren Thomas. I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. Thank you for watching and take care.